Hello and welcome to another edition of our Fireside Chat. It is great to have you all join us today. This is sort of a special edition of Fireside Chat. And the reason that we wanted to get together today was to talk about National Family Week. This is something that obviously is important to the folks at the Garrison to recognize families, especially on National Family Week. And we have decided to invite one of our colleagues, Karen Donovan, who is the Manager of Community Recreations at PSP. Karen, thank you very much for joining us.
No problem.
Claudia, before we start, I think when people say the word family, they get a picture in their head of what a family looks like. And we know from statistics, we know from our own experiences that families look different now than they may have 20 years ago, 30 years ago. That definition is changing. Before you start, can you just talk about when the PMFRC talks about family, what do we mean by that? How do we define family at the MFRC?
You're right, Julie. Historically, family has been defined as the military member, the civilian spouse, and the child. But those demographics are changing. We know this, and we appreciate that military families come in all forms. And so the CAF member can self-define to include anyone of significance to themselves. So it still is the spouse and the children, but now it can be a parent, a girlfriend, or even a close relative. And there may be different eligibility requirements for some specific services, but if the PMFRC cannot offer an appropriate service, then we'll do everything we can to help families get connected to community services in the local area. But I just want to take this time to emphasize that every family is unique, and we rely on the CAF member to identify to us who they consider to be their family.
And I think that's a really important point. And I think historically, a lot of people, when they see the MFRC, they really think about, young families with kids and it's all about kids. But the fact is, it really doesn't matter what your family looks like. We really would like to have you come through those doors and talk to us and see what we can do to help you out. Karen, one of the big reasons, other than we just love talking to you, that we wanted to include you in this discussion is when we looked at the theme for National Family Week, it just played so nicely into PSP and what you do. So the theme is Play at All Ages, a prescription for well-being. You, as the manager of the Community Recreation Program, obviously have a lot of experience in programs that focus on well-being, that focus on play, that focus on that recreation piece. Can you talk to us a little bit about how play does affect well-being and what you've seen in your experience?
Certainly. There's been a big change, I think, in our general society with regards to the value of play or at least recreational time for themselves. So the priority has shifted, or seems to have shifted from that full day of work. That's your focus on it, and then you make time for play wherever you can make it. I think now society is moving towards the priority of being involved in play, or at least activity that provides pleasure to the individual moving forward. So yeah, I think its impact as well, which impacts the mental health piece, is very important as well. We all know that focusing on well-being and self-care can be challenging and defined differently for everybody, but certainly the ability and the time to play are very important.
Claudia, the PMFRC also has programs that focus on well-being and focus on play. We have a sort of a broad range of services that we provide. Can you talk some about the PMFRC and some of the activities and events that we have that focus on play and on well-being?
There really is no better way to celebrate families than to set this week aside where both MFRC and PSP can showcase the various activities that are available for families to play together. And I think Karen alluded to the fact that play is different for everybody, right? Like what you do to relax and to play or exert energy could look different from somebody else's perspective. So because the focus this year also includes mental health and well-being for people of all ages, there's no better way to highlight how our two programs really complement each other and how we support the CAF community overall. From our perspective, from educational, mental health, and wellness programs, we have a lot lined up for October. We're so happy to get back into in-person activities. Our in-person mental health walk-in clinic starts again this week. The clinic will take place on the first and third Wednesday of every month from 4 p.m. till 7 p.m. at the Family Center located on the north side. We're just keeping it to the north side for now, but it's up and running again in person, so everybody's happy about that. The popular mental health first aid workshop, that's scheduled to take place in November, but I do believe registrations are happening now. For new parents or expected parents with babies up to 12 months, we're offering a Harvest Bounty Healthy Eating Kit. So our pre and postnatal is pretty active. As part of the Healthy Relationships campaign, which is coming up later this month from the 17th to the 21st of October, we'll be facilitating our in-person 5 love languages workshop for couples. That's a mouthful, but for those of you that are familiar with the love languages workshops, it's very popular. We do one specifically for couples, and we are doing this in person, so very happy to be able to offer that. And the theme for that campaign is relocation this year. So if you're new to Petawawa or you've just experienced a relocation, then if you're interested, sign up. Registration is open until the 17th, and this program usually fills up pretty quickly. So don't delay if you are interested in participating in that. Those were our adult activities. For children and youth, we have a learning anxiety program available. The program is to help children and youth during times when their anxiety makes a difference or it makes it difficult for them to focus on learning and studying for exams. There's some strategies that they can use both at home and in the classroom. We're very excited to bring our emotional toolkit workshops back. And this is a specific program for children and youth of all ages. We have 3 workshops with 3 varying age groups. And the workshop helps children and youth build personalized emotional toolkits that they can take home to use as needed. It's a pretty cool workshop that our own mental health team develops. So they're very happy to do those workshops in person. And for our special needs family, most importantly, I'm just going to do the shout out for the annual special needs forum, which is taking place on the 1st of November, Julie, I believe. At least that's what's in my calendar. We're going to do this as a hybrid event this year. So we do have a limited number of spots for in-person, and but anybody can join us through the Zoom session. We have all ages virtual space to explore our senses. That's our new sensory room. And we are also looking at restarting the sensory library, right? There's going to be certain things that are going to be open for families to sign out. And then we have a very large early on program, adult parent and child programs. There's a lot going on there as well between Play Troop and our Saturday Stop and Plays, our Mommy and Me and Daddy and Me programs. That's a lot to look into, but all of the information is on the website, as is the registration information and the links to register. But know that you can also reach out to our frontline staff. They'd be happy to answer any of the questions you have. If you can't really find a specific program that we talked about, then just call the front desk, either us or PSP. We really share those resources, and we'll be happy to help you, save you trying to scroll through the website, which can be challenging sometimes.
The one thing I did want to add, we do have a workshop that's happening tomorrow, Thursday, through our prenatal program. Stephanie Hunter, who is the person in charge of prenatal, she is a registered RECE, and she's doing a workshop on how to play with your baby. Sometimes when you're a new parent, it's challenging, what does play look like for an infant at different stages? And how do you do that in ways to engage the baby? And what are the signs that maybe he's not as into it as we think, and what to sort of do to get around that? So I'll add the link for that as well. Karen, we talked about Play Troop and Mommy and Daddy and Mommy and Me and Stop and Play. But sometimes parents, adults really have the opportunity to play and have recreation away from their kids. And that's one of the things that PSP has a lot of programs for, specifically through the clubs, and really appeals to, you would be hard pressed to find something that doesn't interest you, because there is such a wide range. Can you talk a little bit about the clubs, what's available and how people can get to them?
Certainly, Julie, thank you for the intro on that. Yes, not only clubs, but also activities. So there's a bit of a difference between those two items. We're here primarily to support the CAF member retired CAF member and their families. So that's where our priority sits. Clubs are established by groups of individuals within the community that are looking to share, develop, and train in anything in a specific activity or environment. So they become self-owned, let's say, by the group of individuals that want to do that activity. The sole purpose then is to focus and promote that activity through a club. So we do have a lot of clubs. We've got physical clubs and hobby clubs, that, both that can be utilized or accessed, varying from archery and auto fixing, so working in an auto shop to repair your own vehicle, all the way through to our wood hobby shop, which is a fully equipped environment for anyone who's interested in woodworking. The joy of being in a club is once you are there, you get input in terms of how things operate. So if you are interested in woodworking, but you get there and you realize you also are interested in reviewing some older techniques or like dovetailing two pieces of wood together, then that's something that the club looks at and they move forward with getting those programs. So it's an excellent opportunity for anyone who would like to access a certain hobby or fitness activity while they're there. On the fitness side for adults, we do have jujitsu, karate, and then a whole slate of fitness classes that can be accessed as well, that give everybody that opportunity to find something that they enjoy doing to keep themselves physically fit and active, just active living in general. And then on the hobby side, I did mention the auto club and the wood club. We also have programming that's specific for adults in terms of like art classes, access to cultural type activities, and they change and morph from year to year depending on what the community is interested at that time. So we're very pleased that we can offer these services. PSP supports all the clubs. We're in there just to make sure that everything runs smoothly and the individuals that are involved are able to gain the experience that they are interested in.
And we are so lucky to be on a base that does have so many facilities and so many opportunities to get involved in things. And a lot of people, sometimes they might move to Petawawa and think small town, but come down and check out what is available. The base really has so many different resources, and I think you would be surprised at what you can get involved in if you do a little bit of digging. We're going to put a link down below so you can take a look at the wide range of what those clubs and activities are, and see if there's something that you are interested in. Claudia, we talked a little bit about relocation as a stress. Oftentimes when you relocate, one of the things that you lose is those activities. You might be involved in a club or a group in the town that you're in, and you move, and not only have you lost sort of that friend structure, those people, but also the chance to do that activity. If someone is moving here and they are interested in woodworking or auto work, but don't necessarily know how to connect, how can they find out more about some of the different activities and resources that are available in Petawawa?
So I'm going to make my one statement that I make very frequently, and it's not related to feedback. I frequently say that no door is the wrong door. And the PMFRC is a great way, a great starting point for new families to make contact. We have a wealth of information, resources available about our community, not just the military supports and services, but also the resources that are available outside of the garrison. And we work with a lot of the community partners. So if the PMFRC cannot offer an appropriate service, then we do everything we can to help families get connected to other community services. We all have a common goal, and that is to support our families and our military community. So sustaining all of our various relationships and partnerships really helps provide the information that you may be looking for as a new family to Petawawa. I encourage all new families to sign up for our newsletter and to check out the website. This is another great way that PSP and MFRC collaborate together because we have a joint website. It is a national website, but if you click on the Petawawa link, you'll see all the services that PSP and MFRC have. And it really isn't about who's providing the service, just that the service exists. So whether you reach out to the MFRC first, whether you reach out to PSP first, whatever your go-to is, your comfort level, give our frontline staff a call. We work well together to provide a well-rounded approach to family support. whether it's recreational, physical, educational, mental health, a person's well-being. We do what we can for the families, and we stay connected. And we collaborate a lot, Karen and I, with our organizations, and talk about what the trends are and what can we do together to provide that united front of services. So stay connected. Don't forget to check out our social media sites. We're active on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, I believe Twitter. Correct me if I'm wrong. And you'll find a large number also of recorded videos on YouTube that, you know, you don't have to be here at the time that we post them. They're all stored on YouTube. So if there's something of interest, just do a search and you'll find us. And there's a wealth of knowledge and resources available there as well.
Clearly you found our Facebook page if you are watching this, but I'm also in the comments going to put the link for the PSP Petawawa Recreation Facebook page. That's a good opportunity for you to stay involved and stay informed about the kinds of activities and programs that Karen and her team are running in PSP Recreation. Karen, I guess the first step for anybody who really wants to get involved in these programs or take advantage of the facilities in Petawawa, be it swimming or skating or the gym or anything else, that first step is really to get your PSP card, part of the PSP plan. Can you tell us about the PSP plan? What is it people should know? Who should get a card and how do they get a card?
Oh, certainly. The PSP plan is an individual's access or key to access for the different clubs, activities, programs, facilities that we have here at Garrison Petawawa. So the plan itself is open to primarily CAF members and their families, as well as retired members, but we do accept like PSP employees, D&D employees, PMFRC employees, and their families, as well as individuals in our local community who might be interested in accessing the different programs that we have. The membership itself comes with a fee. If there's a single CAF member who is interested in taking part in a club or in our fitness classes, the fee for that is at $10 per month. And they can pay that up front. It can come off their pay directly. They don't really even notice that it's going off. But that can be set up for them. If they have family members that would also like to gain access to our facilities and programs, then they can purchase a family PSP membership. So for a military family, that's $18 per month. And again, that can be hit to a credit card monthly. It can be paid up front. It can go to the members' pay, those things. Our family membership is slightly different with regards to access for family members. We recognize our definition through our corporate office in Ottawa, who set down the parameters, but to keep us in line with our non-public fund programming fees. So long story short is that the CAF member would come in, register their family member that they would identify either as a spouse or a partner, any children that are under the care of that CAF member and or his spouse or her spouse as defined. And then if there's extended family. So we do, over the last 3 years, if a member is willing to submit a request to include, say, a grandparent, some in-home help that they have for caregiving, we can look at each situation individually and perhaps include those members as part of the original PSP plan. So it gives you access to all of our facilities during our open hours for casual use. So pool, weight room, gym, outdoor beaches, our splash pad, dropping into the Recplex or to the Southside Community Center for programming. Not only that, you're able to register for any of our programs at a lower rate than a non-PSP member would do. And Claudia alluded to the fact that we are very collaborative in our programming. We try very hard not to overlap. And if there's something that is a shared interest, then we definitely sit down together with PSP and the PMFRC just to make sure that we we are collaborating and giving the best service that we can possibly give. We also have that same arrangement with the town of Petawawa. So the town of Petawawa also has its own recreational service, and we work with them to try very hard to not overlap programs that are in our community. Community is only one size. There's no sense duplicating things. It kind of frees us up to ensure that we're able to offer even more. Those PSP plans, like I said, are also available for employees of the base, be it NPF, PSP, or the FRC, as well as our civilian members in our local community. So I welcome everybody to check out the benefits. They're listed on the website, right on the PSP plan site. And if you have any questions, definitely reach out either by email to recplex, that's RECPLEX, at forces.gc.ca, and we will ensure that we follow up with who is the best person to answer that email and then to provide you with the information that you need.
I'll put that in the comments for people who may have missed that. And you would go to the Recplex to get a card. If you wanted to get your PSP card, you go to the Recplex to make that happen?
Yes, you do. Yeah, all of our programs can be registered online. The only thing you really need to stop in here to the Recplex to see us for is that PSP plan membership. There is an ID card printed with it. So it's important that all family members come on in and make sure they get their photo taken for their own card. Cards are required for 12 and over, but they can also be produced for children under that age if you're looking for a form of ID to help carry around.
Who doesn't want another ID with an unattractive picture of themselves in their wallet? Really, just for that, I think it's like, it is impossible to get a good photo in those. Maybe just for me, maybe that's just a me thing, but okay. So you have to go to the Recplex for that.
You do.
So keep
Thank
that
you.
in mind.
Yeah.
If you have an old CAC card, is that expired by now and you should get your PSP one? If you have sort of got a card ages ago, do you need to get a new one?
You do. Yes, any cards that actually had CAC on them have all expired. So if you have one at home, it would have an expired date. Definitely come on out, bring the card with you. We can check your file, your status, see where you're at, and make sure that we can set you up right to make sure you can access what you need to.
Thank you. Let's just loop around to that play ID. And I think that Karen touched on this briefly, the idea of balance. And the fact that we're all busy, and oftentimes at the end of the day, if we have a lot to do, we are dropping that play element, or we are dropping that self-care element, because it's just easier to sort of keep going. And sometimes you make me feel guilty about the fact that, you know, you've got so much to do and you don't want to spend that time focusing on yourself. So just a round table, just asking each of you, from your perspective, why is that element so important not to drop? And do you have any advice for people to continue to incorporate that in their day-to-day lives, even if they do have a lot on the go? Claudia, I'm going to start with you. I know.
Obviously, self-care is important, right? Because we need to take care of not just our body, but our minds, and we need to be able to decompress. And life has been really busy. Life has been very stressful. Dealing with COVID and kids going back into school and everything else that life brings for a military family. So it's really important to take the time that you need to take. And the best advice that I would say is make yourself a priority. You know, you as moms, you're a priority for your family, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But don't forget to prioritize yourself. And whether you're you know, a family with little ones, if you are an empty nester, if you are a family with no kids, you still need to prioritize yourself, because if you don't take care of yourself, your health and your well-being, then it's very hard for you to be able to support everybody else in your family who are also dealing with a little bit of stress. So I think that would be the best advice that I can offer, and definitely something that I also have to remember for myself these days.
Karen.
Yes, so true. To echo Claudia's comments, the great parallel that we hear these days is the example of when you get on an airplane and they are giving you the feedback on how to use the oxygen mask, and they say, put yours on first before you try to help someone else. Self-care falls in that category as well. You need to look out for yourself so that you're better able to meet the demands or the requirements that you may have within your life. So, and play is very self-defined. There's no wrong play. If you feel like sitting down and reading a book, that's a form of play. That's something that's engaging your mind, something that you're interested in, something that you can relate to. So whether it's reading, physical activity, and if you're thinking of physical activity as a must-do point within your life, it might have moved out of the play range for you. So you may need to think of something else that helps you bring that joy or that piece of being involved in some play activity. Always a good idea for families, if you get a chance to play together. The benefit of that is long lasting for the children. They understand that that is a component of life and that it's a priority, that they can actually put play as a priority in their lives. And as they move forward into their adulthood, they will be able then to ensure that play stays as a priority.
I think that my best advice would be to step out of your comfort zone a little bit, because sometimes it's a little hard to sort of walk into an activity you've never been to before, or to try something new, a new activity. Maybe it's something that you've always wanted to do, but as a beginner, sometimes you sort of have to put your ego aside and try things and realize that it's going to take a while to get as good at it as you want. But it's worth the investment. It's a good chance to sort of, use your brain, get out of sort of the everyday thought patterns that you're in, and make some new friends. But you sort of sometimes have to sort of start with that first step of discomfort, and the benefits are there. Thank you both ladies for joining us. It is National Family Week. If you have an opportunity to go out and play with your kids, absolutely give us a call, either PSP or PMFRC. Talk to us about some of the programs, the activities, the events that are available. If you are an adult and you wanted to sort of look for new activities, we also have some things in the Petawawa area that is definitely going to interest you. So like Claudia said, don't be afraid that you're calling the wrong person. Either organization is more than happy to help you and get you in touch and make sure that you can get signed up for the activity you need. Have a wonderful day, and thank you again for joining us. We will talk to you soon.
Thanks all.